"Mom, my head hurts again," Jake whispered, squinting at his homework from inches away. My heart clenched as I watched him struggle with a simple math worksheet, his nose practically touching the paper. "Just a little longer, honey," I said, adjusting the desk lamp to its brightest setting. "Maybe if we move it closer to the light." But I knew it wasn't about the lighting. The teacher's notes had become increasingly concerned. Jake was squinting at the board, missing instructions, and falling behind in reading. The school nurse had recommended an immediate eye exam, but that required something we apparently couldn't afford: money. "We're on a strict budget, Amanda," David had said last week, barely looking up from his phone, probably texting his friends about their upcoming Vegas trip. "Kids just want glasses because their friends have them. Remember when you wanted braces because Tommy got them?" "Tommy needed braces for medical reasons," I'd argued. "And Jake needs glasses because he can't see. He sits too close to that damn TV," David had dismissed. "Make him sit back and he'll be fine." The TV that Jake had to sit close to because he couldn't see it otherwise. The same TV David had no problem buying last year for his precious football games with the boys. My phone buzzed, a notification from our joint account I'd set up to track David's spending. Another charge from Sports Bar and Grill, $175. The fourth quick drink with the guys this week. But somehow $350 for our son's eye exam was breaking the bank. "Can I take a break?" Jake asked, rubbing his temples. "Maybe listen to my audiobooks instead." The audiobooks I'd secretly subscribed to when reading became too painful for him. Another unnecessary expense, according to David, who spent more on beer and wings in one night than a month's subscription cost. "Of course, sweetheart." I kissed his forehead, feeling the tension there. "I'll make you some chamomile tea for your head." In the kitchen, I pulled out my hidden notebook, the one where I'd been tracking every dime David spent on himself versus our family's needs. 3 months of bar tabs, sports betting, golf games, and guys' nights added up to more than our monthly mortgage payment. Meanwhile, Jake wore shoes a size too small because kids' feet grow too fast to waste money on new ones every few months. My phone buzzed again, this time with an email from Jake's teacher. Jake had another difficult day. He became frustrated during reading time and said his head hurt too much to continue. "Please let me know if you've scheduled that eye appointment we discussed." I was composing a response when David walked in, reeking of beer and cigarettes. Another habit he picked up during his boys' nights that we supposedly couldn't afford. "Great news," he announced, dropping his keys on the counter. "Steve's bachelor party is all set. Vegas, baby." "How much?" I asked quietly, though I'd already seen the charge notification. "Don't start, Amanda," he warned, his good mood evaporating. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Steve's getting married." For the third time, I muttered. "And Jake's eyes are a lifetime thing." "Not this again," David groaned. "He's fine. You're just looking for problems because your mom wore glasses as a kid." My mother, who lost vision in one eye because her family couldn't afford early intervention. The story I told David when we first discussed Jake's symptoms, which he'd apparently filed away as ammunition. The school nurse says. "The school nurse wants us to waste money on unnecessary medical bills," he cut me off. "Like that ADHD testing they wanted last year. The testing that had actually revealed Jake's growing vision problems, which David had dismissed as teacher overreach." Speaking of bills, he continued, pulling out his phone. "The guys want to do a golf weekend next month. Team building for work, you know." "Team building?" I echoed. "You're a real estate agent. You work alone." "Networking," he corrected smoothly. "It's important for my career." Like the networking that had put us $3,000 in credit card debt from last year's essential fishing trip with his college buddies. "Jake needs glasses," I said firmly. The teacher sent another email. "He can't see the board, he can't read properly, and he has constant headaches." "Kids get headaches," David shrugged. "I had them all the time as a kid." "Did you also have to sit 2 feet from the TV to see it?" "That's because you let him play too many video games. He listens to audiobooks because reading hurts his eyes." David's face darkened. The look I'd learned meant the discussion was over, at least in his mind. We're not spending hundreds of dollars because our kid wants to copy his friends. End of discussion. Now about the golf weekend. I turned away, fighting back tears of frustration. In the living room, Jake had fallen asleep on the couch, his audiobook playing softly, his homework abandoned on the table. My phone buzzed one more time, a reminder about my secret appointment with a family lawyer next week. The consultation fee paid for by the money I'd been skimming from my grocery budget, saving a little each time David complained about the cost of fresh vegetables while spending $50 on bar nuts with the boys. David's voice carried from the kitchen as he called his friends, planning their Vegas debauchery. Yeah, man, got the hotel suite booked. Top shelf everything. Amanda doesn't understand, but you guys get it. I looked at Jake's peaceful sleeping face, then at the notebook documenting months of his father's misplaced priorities. The Vegas charges had been the last straw, but the story they told went back much further. Opening my laptop, I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been building. Every bar tab, every golf game, every boys' night expense, compared against denied family necessities. Next to it, I opened a new document and began typing. Dear Mrs. Harrison, thank you for your email about Jake's difficulties in class. I want to inform you that Jake will be absent next Tuesday for an eye examination. His father may tell you we can't afford it, but as his mother, I've found a way. Some things, like our children's health, are worth fighting for. The eye doctor's office was bright and welcoming, nothing like the grim medical experiences David had predicted would traumatize our son. Jake sat in the examination chair, fascinated by the equipment. How did you get the money, Mom? He whispered while we waited. Did Dad finally say yes? Mom found a way, I answered, thinking of the side job I'd taken doing virtual bookkeeping, skills I'd learned while tracking David's essential expenses. The door opened and Dr. Marshall entered with a warm smile. An hour later, we had our answer. Jake needed glasses badly. His prescription was significant, explaining the headaches and learning difficulties. I'm actually concerned this wasn't caught sooner, Dr. Marshall said, reviewing the results. This level of vision impairment doesn't happen overnight. I thought of all the months of David's dismissals, of Jake's struggles, of tightening our belts, while David loosened his for another round of drinks. My phone buzzed, a series of charges from Las Vegas. David's bachelor party weekend was in full swing. $200 at a steakhouse, $300 at a club, $150 for a poker tournament buy-in. Each notification felt like a vindication of my decision to take matters into my own hands. Can I pick any frames? Jake asked, eyes wide at the display of options. Within reason, I smiled, knowing my secret bookkeeping job would cover it. Let's find something durable. While Jake tried on frames, I checked my email. The family lawyer had sent the preliminary paperwork along with a note. The financial documentation you provided is compelling. Your husband's pattern of prioritizing personal entertainment over family medical needs will be relevant. Mom, look, Jake called out. He'd chosen simple blue frames that suited his face perfectly. Everything's so clear in these. The total came to $425, less than David had spent on just the hotel room in Vegas. I paid with my private credit card, the one David didn't know about, funded by my hidden income. As we left the office, Jake wearing his new glasses, my phone lit up with a FaceTime call from David. Where are you? He demanded, the sounds of a casino evident in the background. I tried calling the house. Getting Jake's eyes checked, I replied calmly. He has his glasses now. David's face reddened. We discussed this. You went behind my back and spent less than half of what you've spent in Vegas so far. I finished. Yes, I did. That money was your priority, I cut in. Just like the golf weekends, the bar tabs, and the poker nights were priorities. I made our son's vision a priority. Where did you even get the money? He demanded. The same place you got your Vegas money. I earned it. Jake tugged at my sleeve. Mom, everything looks so different. I can read the street signs. David fell silent, perhaps finally hearing what he'd been dismissing for months. We'll discuss this when I get back, he said at last, his tone promising consequences. Yes, we will, I agreed, thinking of the lawyer's paperwork waiting in my email. We'll discuss quite a lot. After hanging up, I took Jake for ice cream, his first time reading a menu board without squinting. His face lit up with each new discovery. Leaves on trees, text on billboards, details he'd been missing all this time. My phone buzzed again. More Vegas charges. David was apparently drowning his anger in expensive bottles at a nightclub. Mom? Jake asked, looking at me clearly through his new glasses. Is Dad mad about the money? I thought carefully about my answer. Dad and I have different ideas about what's important. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about these things. Like how he says his golf clubs were important but my headphones for audiobooks weren't. Out of the mouths of babes. Something like that. My head doesn't hurt anymore, he said, returning to his ice cream. And I can see everything now. Another notification. David had just spent $200 on cigars. The same David who'd said $425 for glasses was throwing money away. Opening my photos, I took a picture of Jake happily reading the dessert menu, his first time doing so without struggle. I sent it to David with a simple message. This is what priority looks like. Then I forwarded the same photo to my lawyer, along with screenshots of David's Vegas spending spree. The contrast between a child's medical needs and a bachelor party budget told its own story. Can we go to the library? Jake asked. I want to try reading a real book now. Of course, I smiled, watching him gather his things without bumping into the table for the first time in months. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from David. We'll talk about this financial betrayal when I get home. I looked at Jake, seeing clearly now myself. Yes, I typed back, we will. And we'll both be seeing things very differently. 3 days after David returned from Vegas, I sat in our kitchen watching Jake read his first chapter book without headaches. The divorce papers lay on the counter beside me, next to printouts of David's Vegas charges, now totaling over $2,000. You're really going through with this? David asked, his hangover from the bachelor party weekend still lingering in his voice. Over a pair of glasses? No, I replied, sliding the financial records toward him. Over years of priorities that put your son's basic needs last. Jake looked up from his book, his new glasses catching the morning light. Dad, want to see me read? I can do whole pages now. David flinched, perhaps finally seeing what his choices had cost, not just in dollars, but in moments lost to his son's preventable struggles. I had to maintain certain appearances for work, he started, but I cut him off. Your son had to maintain straight as to keep his scholarship at the academy, I countered. Hard to do when you can't see the board. My phone buzzed, an email from Jake's teacher. Remarkable improvement in class participation this week. Jake read aloud voluntarily for the first time this year. I showed David the message. This is what your Vegas money bought, except I paid for it. With money you hid from me, he accused. Like the money you hid in your work expenses account. I pushed another printout toward him, his secret credit card statements I discovered during my bookkeeping job. The one you used for poker nights while Jake used audiobooks because reading hurt too much. The silence stretched between us, broken only by the sound of Jake turning pages. A simple act that had been painful just days ago. I'm his father, David finally said. I get to make these decisions. Not anymore, I replied, pushing the divorce papers forward. Now you get to make alimony payments that will cover his medical needs, all of them. You can't prove. I can prove every drink you bought while denying him glasses, every golf game you played while he struggled to read, every dollar you spent in Vegas while he had headaches. My phone buzzed again, Jake's teacher sending a video of him reading to the class, standing confident at the podium, no squinting, no headaches. Your son couldn't see, I said quietly, but I saw everything. David stared at the papers, at the financial records, at Jake reading comfortably for the first time in months. I didn't realize, he started. No, I agreed. You didn't want to see it either. Jake closed his book, beaming with accomplishment. Mom, can we go to the bookstore? Miss Turner gave me a reading list. Of course, I smiled, gathering my keys and the divorce papers. Dad and I just need to finish some paperwork. David watched as Jake easily navigated around furniture he used to bump into, reading street signs through the window that had been just blurs before. The glasses, he said softly. They really made that much difference. Everything makes a difference when you see it clearly, I replied, sliding him a pen. Your signature goes on the marked lines. As David signed the papers that would end our marriage but begin Jake's fully sighted life, I thought about vision, not just the kind corrected by glasses, but the kind that lets you see what truly matters. I'll pay for the glasses, David offered, too late. You already did, I answered. Every time you chose a boy's night over his needs, you pay for this moment. Jake waited by the door, his new glasses helping him read the clock. Mom, the bookstore closes in an hour. Coming, honey. I gathered the signed papers, leaving David with his Vegas receipts and missed opportunities. Outside, Jake looked up at the trees, seeing individual leaves instead of green blurs. Everything's so clear now, he marveled. Yes, I agreed, thinking of the clarity that comes with choosing what really matters. Yes, it is.